A man walked into the forest. He never came back that day. His family waited by the fire. Hours passed. Then night fell. Still no sign of him. Where had he gone? Which path did he take? Nobody truly knew. The forest looked the same everywhere, tree after identical tree. No signs, no markers, no way to tell direction. Panic slowly set in. Search parties formed at dawn. They called his name for hours. Only silence answered back. This kind of story repeated constantly across countless ancient villages, across countless generations of humans. Back then, there were no maps, no lines on paper, no marks showing the way. People walked using memory alone. They remembered a bent tree. They remembered a strange rock. They remembered where the river turned. But memory can fail. Memory can fade with time. One wrong turn meant disaster. One missed landmark meant being lost. Lost hunters sometimes never returned. Lost travelers sometimes starved. Lost explorers sometimes froze to death. Fear of getting lost shaped daily life. Every journey carried real risk, even walking to gather food, even walking to find water. Villages lost people this way often. Entire hunting parties vanished sometimes. Grief became a familiar visitor. Something had to change eventually. Humans needed something better. They needed a way to remember paths, not just inside their heads, but somewhere outside their minds, somewhere permanent, somewhere shareable with others. This need sparked one of humanity's greatest inventions, the map. But how did it begin? How did empty land become lines and symbols? It started, surprisingly, inside caves, deep inside dark, silent caves. Ancient humans drew on cave walls, not just animals, not just hunting scenes. Some drawings showed paths, some showed water sources, some showed danger zones nearby. One famous cave painting in France shocked researchers. It seemed to show a landscape, rivers, hills, and hunting routes. Nobody expected this from ancient humans. It proved something remarkable. Even early humans thought spatially. They understood direction clearly. They understood distance too. They just lacked good tools, tools to record what they knew. Simple carvings came next. Marks scratched onto old bones, marks scratched onto flat stones. Some marks tracked moon cycles, some marks tracked travel routes. These were humanity's first true maps, crude but genuinely powerful. A scratch could mean turn here, a symbol could mean water nearby. Slowly, this idea spread. Different cultures built their own systems. In the icy Arctic, something clever emerged. Inuit hunters carved pieces of wood. These wooden carvings showed coastlines. Bumps meant steep cliffs. Curves meant safe bays. Hunters felt these maps in darkness. Some were read entirely by touch, sailing without any light, trusting only cold fingers. Thousands of miles away, something stranger appeared. On tiny islands in the Pacific. The Marshall Islanders built stick charts made from palm ribs and shells. These were not literal maps. They represented ocean wave patterns, swells moving beneath the surface, currents pulling boats sideways. Sailors memorized these patterns first, before ever leaving the shore. Then they left the chart behind. They sailed using memory alone, guided by feeling the ocean move, feeling it shift beneath their boat. Young sailors trained for years to learn this, making mistakes on short voyages first, slowly earning trust from village elders. Only then were they allowed longer journeys. This was mapping without paper, mapping without a single line drawn, just pure spatial understanding, passed down through many generations.
Far across the Pacific, something incredible happened. Polynesian sailors mastered it. They read the ocean itself. They watched wave patterns closely. They watched cloud shapes carefully. They watched bird flight paths daily. Birds often signaled nearby land. Certain clouds hinted at islands. Certain swells bent around hidden reefs. Master navigators memorized star paths. Hundreds of stars tracked nightly. They sailed thousands of miles this way. No compass, no written chart, just deep, trained observation. Passed from teacher to student for generations without a single mistake. Modern sailors still study these techniques today. Some call it the world's oldest GPS, built entirely from human memory. Meanwhile, in ancient Mesopotamia, everything changed. Humans invented writing itself. Soon after, they invented drawn maps. One of the oldest known maps survives today, the Babylonian map of the world. Carved into a small clay tablet, it placed Babylon at the center. Rivers flowed outward from it. Distant lands appeared as triangles. It was not accurate at all, but it was truly revolutionary. For the first time, humans tried something bold, drawing the entire known world, not just a local path, not just a single hunting trail, the whole world shrunk onto clay. Back in Mesopotamia, cities grew rapidly larger. More people meant more disputes, disputes over land, water, and roads. Clay maps helped settle arguments quickly. A drawn boundary carried real authority. Kings used maps to plan new cities. Streets, temples, and canals all mapped first before a single brick was laid. This was mapping as a tool of design, not just recording the world, but shaping it before it existed. Ancient Egyptians pushed mapping even further. They had a very specific reason. Farming depended entirely on the Nile. Every year, floods reshaped the land. Property lines vanished underwater completely. When floods finally receded, disputes broke out. Whose land was truly whose? Egyptian surveyors solved this problem cleverly. They measured land using long ropes. They recorded every boundary carefully. These records became early property maps. Maps were no longer just for travel. They became tools of law, tools of ownership and control. Whoever controlled the map controlled the land. Trade caravans also relied heavily on early maps. Desert routes were especially dangerous. One wrong turn meant no water for days. Merchants marked wells on animal hide. They marked safe resting points too. These trade maps were fiercely guarded. Knowledge of a safe route meant survival. Sharing it freely meant losing an advantage. In ancient Greece, mapping took a turn, a scientific turn, unlike before. Greek thinkers asked bold questions aloud. Is the earth flat, or could it actually be round? A philosopher named Eratosthenes had an idea. He noticed something strange about shadows. Shadows fell differently in different cities. Using simple geometry, he calculated something huge, Earth's actual size, remarkably close to correct. This changed how humans viewed maps completely. Maps were not just drawings anymore. They could be based on math, based on real measurement and logic. Centuries later, a scholar named Ptolemy went further. He built a detailed mapping system, latitude lines running across the globe, longitude lines running up and down, a grid covering the entire Earth. His work shaped mapmakers for centuries. Even Christopher Columbus used maps inspired by him. But not every ancient culture used grids. In ancient China, mapmaking grew differently. Chinese cartographers used precise measurement tools. They mapped rivers, roads, and empire borders. One ancient Chinese map was drawn on silk. It still survives. It shows incredible, careful detail: mountains, rivers, and military camp positions. This map is over 2,000 years old, yet its accuracy still stuns historians today. Across the world, other systems grew too. In the Americas, the Aztec Empire made detailed city maps. One map showed Tenochtitlan in stunning detail: canals, streets, and temples carefully drawn. When Spanish explorers arrived, they were shocked. They had never seen mapping this advanced. Maps were never just a European idea. Every civilization found its own path. As trade expanded, maps became essential tools. Merchants needed maps to find distant markets. Sailors needed maps to avoid deadly reefs. Kings needed maps to plan invasions carefully. Whoever had better maps often won wars. Whoever had better maps controlled trade routes. Maps quietly became instruments of real power.